the tape, let's grind. Shut up, the tape. Let's grind. The tape. We do it a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play, shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play, them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play, shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play, them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape. Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
The tape.
UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach, and the bench deep. Right. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Yep. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunker down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Film guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby Smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We do it a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play, shut up and grind the tape.
The tape.
We ain't gonna play, them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play, shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play, them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
Shut up. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to the Film Guy Network on a fabulous Sunday evening. What a great time to be here on this network, and what a great time to be solo. If you're new to the network, Sunday shows are our solo shows. We kick it old school. When this network first started, it was just me, myself, and I, a couple of cameras, a microphone, a note full of absolute fiery takes, and a lot of passion. That's what we got for the next 55 minutes, however long this takes, okay? I got several pages of notes and a lot of things to dump off on you from a tremendously loaded week 12 of college football. Glad to have you in tonight. We're going to talk about Georgia. We're going to call that a get-right game versus Tennessee. LSU, I'm going to say you got smoked. I know the scoreboard didn't necessarily say so. Settle for a lot of field goals in the red zone, but that was a smoking, particularly in one area of that football game. Oregon escapes, but if there's one thing I know about Dan Lanning, even when he wins ugly, he going to give me some goosies. He's going to give me something that makes me leave and thinking, damn it, that's a great football coach, and he gave us another one of those yesterday. I'm excited to talk about that one. Texas struggled to finish off Arkansas. BYU finally goes down. We'll talk about that tonight. They've been playing it close and playing these, got to have a magical moment late in this football game. They ran out of some magic last night. Colorado still rolling. We'll talk a little bit about that. South Carolina absolutely wilding out there at Willie B. So excited to talk about that one tonight as well. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the network tonight, and make sure you're firing off in that chat as well. Glad to have you guys in tonight. I want to start in the obvious place. We won't make you wait around too long. If you jump in, midway through tonight's show and go, did he talk about Georgia yet? Go ahead, spin it back to the top. Let's start here. Georgia versus Tennessee. Obviously, Georgia wins this one 31-17. Let's start with the obvious. That is the best version we have seen of Carson Beck all season, right? He had plenty of help finally. We'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of this. But, man, Beck, it wasn't just that he avoided mistakes or that they protected him, man. He made big-time throws in this football game. The first touchdown to Oscar Delp's ridiculous. Middle of the field's open. Linebackers up underneath doing a great job turning and running with Oscar, playing it up underneath. But that is a ball as a quarterback that when you throw it, all right, you have to throw it with a lot of anticipation. But when you throw it, you got to throw that ball when it's covered. You got to trust your guy to run to grass. That is an NFL throw. That is a trust throw. That is I guarantee my guy's going to be open because I know he's going to be open, and I'm going to throw it to the spot that he's supposed to be in. It's a tremendous NFL throw, and it is 100% a trust throw. There's been any type of speculation as to whether or not he trusts Oscar Delp. Buddy, that is on display to start that football game. That first touchdown, immaculate throw from Carson. The free play to Dominic Lovett. Yes, it's a free play, and yes, it kind of jump-started that offense. But that is a ball that he threw with tremendous confidence in the right spot, up and over on that left shoulder of Dominic Lovett. All right, a tremendous ball, an NFL ball, a confident ball. He had a ball rolling right late in that football game. 3rd and 6, I think it was. He's on his on the run to the right, rolling out. Defender in his face, throws it 3 or 4 steps before Arian Smith even gets out of his break. Dot on the sideline, first down. It wasn't that, we've seen him go through these stretches of football games where it just inexplicably puts the ball at risk or inexplicably turns down opportunities for big plays. I mean, that Oscar Delp play was the play we showed on the film last week from Ole Miss. 3rd and 15, very similar play, different player, right? I got a bender, I got a post running from the number 2 wide receiver. It's a trust throw. The middle of the field's open. You got to trust it. Throw it before you see it. Didn't throw it last week. Checked the ball down. I think he, incomplete pass to Dylan Bell. But nonetheless, that was the big difference in his performance from the arm, right? Making really, really special plays with the arm. But it didn't stop there. Yesterday was the legs game of the legacy, right? Capital legs. This dude used his legs in this football game to make really, really big plays. 2 big scrambles, one for a big first down, or one for a big first down on 3rd down early in that football game where he ran over the safety, right? I think it's the same drive they get the free play with Dominic Lovett. And then the other one was for a touchdown late in the football game to kind of ice it out, right? There were tremendous plays made by this man's legs, so much so, y'all been in the comments for months now, hell, years, because he's been starting for 2 years about, oh, Georgia needs to get a dual threat. Georgia needs to get a dual threat. We need an athlete back there. They finally designed a quarterback design run for this guy. Not a quarterback scramble, he called his own number on a read option. No. They called quarterback power read up out of empty with Cash Jones running jet. That first time he started 25 games, 26, 27. How many starts he's got, guys? And he has 0 designed quarterback runs. You talk about breaking a tendency. No wonder it went for 12 yards. They completely misaligned from Tennessee's defense because how could you expect it? They've never done it. We've never even had to prepare for quarterback run when preparing for Carson Beck, and they unload it in the green zone, right? I think balls are the 42, critical down. It's 2nd and 8. Boom, ripper. Now we're in plus territory. Now we're in the red zone, ready to roll. The legs in this football game were tremendous for Carson Beck as well, man. Mike Bobo and Carson Beck were clearly in their bag, if you will, in terms of not only play design, but execution as an athlete. Obviously, a great game for Carson Beck, and he was able to shake off even the drops to start, man. I tweeted out early in this football game, it is very clear to me that, and we'll talk about the offensive line here in a second, but it's very clear to me that Georgia's going to be able to protect today. Very early on in that football game. If you go look at my Twitter timeline, which if you don't follow me, at Brooks Austin BA, if you go look at my Twitter timeline, it's one of my very first tweets from the game last night. It's hey, it's only a matter of time before this passing game starts to be explosive if they can catch the damn football. You give any coordinator and any quarterback enough time, no matter what kind of defense you're playing, eventually they're going to find holes. They're going to find issues with the type of coverage that you're playing, right? And that's what ultimately happened in this football game. It was just a matter of time before Georgia's Georgia's wide receiver started to catch the damn ball. And that's what ultimately happened. And tremendous, tip of the cap to Carson for being able to really shake off, like I said, what was a relatively shaky start for this offense. And that's something that we haven't been able to see this team do, right? Come out, look like poop for 3 possessions, and then boom, ball rolling. Y'all gonna put up 450 yards of offense today. What? Really? Okay. Like, that's a different answer and a different response from a football team. Obviously executed and helped out tremendously up on the offensive line. But and they blocked well, they passed pro'd well. But I thought the difference, and I haven't watched all of the all 22 yet, I've kind of skimmed it. But I thought the obvious difference was not just, yeah, they're executing. No, they were physical. They were fighting to the echo of the whistle. Bodies were attached, okay? Offensive linemen were attached to defensive linemen and second-level defenders well beyond the echo of the whistle. I tweeted out a clip today from Cole Kubelik. He found a clip of the Jarrett Wilson like bouncing a defensive back up off the ground at the end of a play. There's a play late in that football game where Dylan Fairchild takes a 3 technique and puts him 9 yards on the back of his lid and gets up and, does what offensive linemen do after they just took a man's soul. So it wasn't just that they were physical and they were executing, or it wasn't just that they were executing on the lines of scrimmage. No, they came to set a tone. They were obviously pissed off about what happened last week for those guys, and they showed up this week. Home field advantage does a tremendous, it gives you a tremendous advantage as an offensive line because you can actually hear the snap count. And that was obvious. They were manipulating the snap count from the start of the game. And I shouldn't even call it the snap count. It's the clap count, right? They're on 1 clap, or they're on 2 claps, or they're on freeze, whatever the clap count is, right? It was clear that some drives they were going on first clap. Some drives they were going on second clap. And some drives they were going clap, check with me on the sideline, we're back on the second clap, right? They were changing the clap count because they're in shotgun a ton. And when you saw the free plays from Tennessee, when you saw the hesitation on the get off, it was on those clap counts, right? It was on that secondary clap that, Carson was ultimately doing. And you heard him mention this. If you listen to his post-game press conferences every week, you heard him mention this last week. Maybe we got to change up the snap count just a little bit. Hard to do that on the road, right? Really, really hard to do that on the road. You're almost having to go, if I'm going to do snap counts on the road and we're going to manipulate the snap count, it's going to be on the center. Okay, the center is going to be the one snapping the football in shotgun on his own prerogative. Okay, guard's going to tap him, let him know when we're ready to go. When the quarterback gives his leg, guard's going to tap him. And then we're going to change, all right, when and how frequently we snap that ball. Do we snap it off the half second once he touches me? Do we give it 1 head twist? Do we give it 2, right? We're going to adapt and change every single time we go out on the road. That's how you do it on the road. At home, whole lot easier. Whole lot easier. We're on the actual sounds. So there's that. Okay, the manipulation of the snap count was huge in this football game, something that you really, really can do at home. But there was a schematical adjustment. And the reason Kirk Herbstreit's the best of all time is for a lot of reasons, but he's super freaking smart. He's really football smart. And if you watch, I kind of picked it up during the game yesterday, but if you go back and listen to that broadcast, Kirk picks it up first possession. Okay, I bet a lot of people yesterday were watching Georgia and going, oh, wow, they're playing a whole lot faster than they normally do on offense. And you think sometimes that'd be a little counterproductive, right? Other team plays really fast. Maybe offensively, you want to play a little bit slower. Not on second downs that don't convert. Non-conversion second downs. Did y'all notice what happened yesterday when a second and 10 was an incomplete pass, or a 2nd and 10 was a run for 3 yards, and now it's 3rd and 6? Did anybody notice, or 3rd and 9, or 3rd and 7? Did anybody notice what happened yesterday early on in that football game when Georgia was in those situations? They went no huddle. Do you know why they went no huddle? So Tennessee couldn't sub their pass rush package back onto the field. So they were going no huddle, so Tennessee couldn't have an ability to run new guys and new fresh bodies onto the field, because that's what Tennessee does best. They're as deep as anybody right now in the conference, tackle to tackle, in terms of a defensive front. They rotate bodies in. They keep everybody fresh on 3rd and obvious passing downs. They want to get their best rushers on the field, start dialing stuff up. You can't do that if I'm in no huddle. I thought it was a tremendous little schematical adjustment, and basically just like one coordinator f***ing with the other, right? One coordinator messing with the other, not allowing him to get back into his bag. And also, that's like thinking ahead, right? We got to plan those things out on the week or during the week. Not only that, but during the game. Think about that. On 2nd and 10, I've got to be calling a winner and also be ready to call my third down play right now because we're going no huddle. I got to be in his ear ready to go with the next one. Just tremendous high level, next level thinking from the coordinating staff from Georgia, man. I thought it was a master class in avoiding these nasty situations with an offensive line that has been banged up and is coming off one of their worst performances in let's be honest, the last 4 or 5 years in this program, right? So 0 sacks, a couple of pressures. The run game was what it's been. Okay, is what it's been. I think it was 19 totes for 100 yards. It wasn't a bunch of explosive lanes, but it was good enough to take your medicine. I thought offense was really easy for Georgia. Okay, really easy for Georgia. If you watched that football game, if you were there, it really felt like Georgia, if they caught the football, was kind of moving it at will. Caught the football and avoided negative penalties like holds and false starts or anything like that. If they avoided the negative plays, Georgia was matriculating the football, moving the football almost at will. The 450 total yards would explain that, okay? They were moving it really, really well. It's why when I got text at halftime, it's like, what do you think? What do you think? I'm not a live better, but I would have, if I had balls on me, I would have live bet the hell out of Georgia. And I have the text messages to prove it because it was clear to me. All right, one offense was moving it kind of at will, only hurting themselves. The other offense was having to absolutely execute to perfection to get the ball down the field. And that's how we flip it over to the other side of the football with Tennessee's offense and start breaking this down for you Tennessee football fans watching today. Nothing came easy for them offensively. And to be honest with you, nothing has come easy for Tennessee offensively all year. Their best and only real scoring drives this year have been through kind of getting the ball down the field, moving the ball down the field, hoping and praying for Dylan Sampson to bust a lane and take it 60 yards to the door. Those have been their explosives on the season this year. Even their opening drive, guys, the biggest play on that opening drive in terms of yardage gained was a pass interference on Julian Humphrey. It was a 15-yard play. Their largest play from the line of scrimmage last night was a 16-yard touchdown run, I believe, by Dylan Sampson. Or it was a 27-yard touchdown run from Dylan Sampson, okay? They were not explosive on the offensive side of the football, and Georgia came out early on in that football game playing a lot of soft zone, it looked like. Corners playing way off. Tennessee doing a great job of taking what's there, taking the underneath, and really moving the football down the field with easy completions. And then Daniel Harris got implemented into the football game. Space started to shrink quite a bit, and now everything's congested for Tennessee offensively, and everything came really, really difficult for Tennessee offensively because of the way Georgia's defense was playing. 19 attempts from Sampson for 101 yards and a touchdown. I'm going to tell you what, that's about as good as you're going to do against that guy, okay? And look, the film does a lot of justice for him. The film shows how good of a football player he is, but it does no real justice for what it looks like in person. It's far more impressive watching this football player do what he does in person. And here's why. You notice how damn small the guy is. And that is not a shot to him. And in fact, it almost makes it more difficult to tackle him because you can't see the guy till he's freaking running past your face through a hole. So when you see just how compact this individual is and how, for lack of a better term, how short, how small he is, he's like 5'9.5", maybe 5'10", maybe, okay? When you see it, you're like, my God. It's the best running back I've seen. And I haven't seen Genty in person. It's the best running back I've seen in person in a while. The way this guy finds holes, the way this guy finds grass. Newsflash, there was barely any last night, and he still left with 101 yards. Thought it was a tremendous performance from him. He is a star football player. But Tennessee had absolute zero explosiveness on offense. Zero. Everything for them right now, to this point in the season, has to go perfect offensively. For 12 plays, man, they've got to be really efficient. They've got to have no negative plays. They've just got to stay on schedule because they have no deep shot game. They have no consistent explosiveness right now on the offensive side of the football. And I'm going to tell you, going on the road with that recipe and not being a triple option football team is really, really hard. Think about what I'm saying. You got to go 12 plays without a negative. You got to go 12 plays without a penalty. You got to go 12. You see what I'm saying? Like, you got to go all the way down the field. By the way, against a great defense, that's really, really hard to do without chunk plays, okay? Because guess what? You will get sacked in this league on the road. Happened 5 times last night. You will have penalties on this road, in this league on the road. There were 9 of them last night for Tennessee. You will struggle to create momentum on the road without chunk plays. And that's exactly what happened. The ball got rolling for Georgia last night in that stadium, and it was gone. It was downhill momentum-wise for Tennessee. Body language got worse, higher energy levels got worse and worse and worse. And without one big chunk play where you shut the crowd up, that's going to be really, really hard to get that ball rolling for you guys on that side of the football. Had just one play last night of more than 20 yards. That's not going to win on the road, particularly when the other team had 6. Okay, you're not going to do that. But I will say this. I am extremely impressed. And if you're wondering whether or not Tennessee's got their guy, I think they do. Okay, and here's why. This guy's known as like this spread dude. That's what people thought he was going to come to this conference and do. Oh, it was hard to do in this conference, all this speed, all this physicality. This football team for Tennessee, and I know they lost last night, and I know the college football playoff hopes look dim right now for these guys. That's a tough-ass football team, man. They play tough for their football coach as well. And football is a toughness sport, and everybody that plays it and signs up for it has a level of toughness. But this is toughness personified. When your starting quarterback spends a week in concussion protocol and plays like that last night, that dude played like he had zero regard for his human body. Let's be honest. That's what it was. He played so damn hard last night. Dylan Sampson's shoulder about came out of socket last night. Brew McCoy's been fighting through injury all damn year. The left tackle played the first 4 games with essentially a high ankle sprain. Okay? Squirrel White. Squirrel White's played half the year with no left arm. His whole shoulder's just hanging. It's just dangling by like half of a tendon left. You got dudes putting their body on the line every single Saturday. And I know it's cliche as shit, but in this world, in this day and age of college football, we got folks tapping out like Thomas Castellanos because they lost the damn job. And we got future potential NFL football players out here like, what? I got half a ligament left in my shoulder? Puh. Screw it. I'll go lay out. I'll go lay out right now. I'll do whatever I need to, coach. We got to go win a ball game. Tough ass football team. Tough. And that's going to survive, right? Even the way that they play. Even the style of football that they play, offensive and defensively, they have bought into the way that this football coach runs their program. There's a program of toughness, and any great football coach starts with that. We got to get buy-in and we got to get toughness, and they've got that, man. They've got it in spades, absolutely spades. Here's the problem. They've got to figure out their deep passing game, okay? This offense is peanut butter and jelly. That's what they are. They are a 2-pronged system. We spread you out, and you are either going to make a decision to cover our jelly, our deep pass, or stop our peanut butter, our run, right? That's it. We got 2. And it's really, really hard to do. And when they're put together, ooh, PB&J, tasting great. Tasting great. I can't believe I'm doing these goofy-ass metaphors. But here we go. Listen, okay? They got the peanut butter. They can run the piss up out the rock. They can. But they cannot hit deep shots. So they are a completely imbalanced football team, all right, that ain't got no jelly right now. They're going to have to find their jelly to get back to a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Because I love a good, solid PB. I do. I love a peanut butter sandwich. But when that jelly get in there, it be hitting a little different. And y'all all agree. They got to find their jelly. They absolutely got to find their jelly on this offense, and they've been struggling with it all year. And that was my keynote point coming into this football game. Is like, hey, bro, what happens? Georgia ain't never had to load the box to stop the run. Ever. Never. Not since Jordan Davis was born on this earth, okay? Since that guy got there and they're like, you know what? This Mint defense really causes problems for folks. Hey, you know what, Kirby Smart? Just recruit like 4 or 5 defensive tackles every year And maybe one or two of them every year will be like really high-end SEC caliber football players, and we'll just be big and physical, and we'll stop the run with light box counts. So in comes a Tennessee offense that has not been effective in the deep passing game, where you don't have to, add bodies to the box either. Like we don't have to dedicate a bunch of bodies to the box normally to stop the run. And now we're not worried about you passing the football. It's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day offensively, and that's exactly what it was. I got some quick notes for you. Oh, if you got kids listening, earmuffs. Holy crap, Mike Bobo dropped his nuts. Holy crap, Mike Bobo dropped his nuts. 2nd and 13 after a offensive, illegal formation penalty, illegal motion. It was a 2nd and 8. Now it's 2nd and 13. 2.5 minutes left in the game. Ball's in field goal range. You're up 7. And my man calls a play action. Hits Jurasic for a 15-yard gain. Ball down to the 1. Game over. Game over. You know how many coordinators run that rock right there and then we're going to run the clock out, make him burn his timeouts, kick the field goal. We're up 10. We'll just live and die by the field goal today. No. The huevos rancheros on that dude right there to do that, I thought it was a call of the game. I mean, apart from the quarterback power read, you're pulling that one out of your hat. But the play action pass, 2nd and 13, 2:39 on the clock. Ugh, let them hang. Absolutely letting them hang. Oscar Delp, legacy game. The photos, gas. If you ain't seen them on Twitter, insane. Dude ran right to the lens. I'm not a photographer, but I might be a photographer. Anyways, absolute tremendous football game for him. I'm curious to see what they were doing. I haven't watched it close enough on tape to figure out why he suddenly became such a big portion of the game plan. I think it's by happenstance. I don't think Bobo calls plays for specific players right now because he doesn't have one of those. Like, who's the guy? You know what I mean? Right now, who's the guy? 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Yeah, who's the offensive weapon right now for Georgia that's like guaranteed money? We don't know. Last year was Bowers. If Bowers was hurt, it was McConkey. Who's the guy? We don't know. So I don't think there was, we're going to dial this one up for Oscar on Tuesday. It's going to be wide ass open. No, they run so much mixed coverage too. It's a post-snap read, and whoever's open gets the ball. So I think it was just happenstance, but we'll actually have to go figure that one out, particularly because most of the stuff that, one of the touchdowns was off play action, and it was tremendous. It was with the tackle over that they showed last week against Ole Miss that they ran a truck toss out of. They lined up in it again in a very similar situation and ran play action, truck toss up off of it. It was beautiful. It was set up 2 weeks in advance. So that one, yeah. The first touchdown, he was the number 2 wide receiver, and he runs a corner post on the underneath defender. That's just in the concepts. That's in the book. I don't know if it was 100% like dialed up specifically for Oscar. So we'll have to go look at it to actually figure it out. But, man, he delivered tremendously in this football game, as did Monroe Freeling. And I'll say this. I know Ernest has been hurt the last several weeks, but Monroe Freeling has done nothing but prove that he is ready to play. Like, since day one, snap one against Clemson. It's like you have 2 tackle spots, and it's very clear to me 57's one of your best 2. So even when Ernest comes back, Monroe Freeling needs to be on the field. And I love the idea that they were forced, their hand was forced into not being able to rotate offensive linemen. And I know they like to stay fresh. And I know I'm not the smartest football guy in the world. Kirby Smart definitely is one of those, right? So he knows far more than I do. And I understand in the day of portal age, you need to play everybody that you can. Everybody needs to play. It's good for them so they don't transfer, all that good stuff. But there is a certain level of rapport. There's a certain level of confidence. There's a certain level of rhythm that comes from the same 5 guys gelling for 4 quarters. There's just something about that. And you don't run a fast-paced offense, Bubba, so it's not like they're out there sucking wind, hands on hips, gut flupping, doing the not like that's going on out there. So, I've always liked the idea that the 5 guys get used to playing with each other, and they're your best 5 guys, and they gel. They get a rhythm going. It's one of those positions, man. If you haven't played it, I don't know how to explain it to you. Daniel Harris, speaking of the guy, I think Daniel Harris is the guy. okay? And I love that they're doing it quickly. They're not waiting around. And you know what it was. As soon as Julian Humphrey turned around and panicked with the ball in the air, he got to go. And against that football team, that's what they do. They go find the guy that's out here wetting down his leg when the ball's in the air, and they go throw it at him every single time. So, yeah, as soon as that was that, it was like, hey, get 7 in there. Let's see if he panics with the ball in the air. And I think with Daniel, when you get him up in people's face, he's so damn long, he's so big that I don't think you can create immediate separation on him. You got to run away from him late. And the problem with that is some bitch run a 10-7. So I don't know how you go out. I don't know. The recovery speed's great on that guy too. So I think Daniel Harris is going to be a really good player. And he already is. So freaking big and athletic, as is Tennessee's tight end room. Those are their 2 best offensive players besides Dylan Sampson and Nico. I mean, those 2 tight ends, Kitselman and Holden Stays, the kid from Westminster here in Atlanta. Them 2 dudes, man, they're so well coached. They catch every ball thrown at them. They get open. They create space. They're big. Oh, my God, they're big. They're both massive, okay? And great athletes. I don't know. I got to go figure out what that tight ends coach name is because I don't think he's going to be a tight ends coach very long. He's probably going to be an OC somewhere and then keep climbing up from there because that dude, his guys are on freaking point. On point all the time. Interior defensive line from Georgia, 97. Damn good game, Warren Brinson. Kristen Miller, damn good game, Kristen Miller. Nazir Stackhouse, keep playing tough. Those 3 dudes, and that from guard to guard, they wasn't a sliver of space. Not one. For 4 quarters, they were boxing that ass in that box. Okay, they were absolutely holding strong up in the interior of that defensive line. Those guys have played tremendously all year long. I got into a discussion on the sideline with a fellow media member. They're like, hey, who's outperformed this year? All of those guys. All of those guys have outperformed any type of pay scale that you got for them. Smile Mondon coming back was huge in this football game as well. Thought one of the biggest plays, if not the biggest play in the football game, was Brett Thorson's tackle on what was a surefire punt return touchdown. Okay, because that was a 1-score ball game for 90% of it, 85% of it, and that was a score. That was a score. That was a tud, and Thorson brought him down twice. How about Nitro Tuggle getting out there and getting some usage, man? Everybody been calling for that for quite a while. Now, I'm going to take a vigorous swig of this here coffee, and then I'm going to address some silly shit I've seen on social media over the last 12 hours. 12 hours? 10 and a half. Hit that like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. I know there's a lot of people right here watching us tonight that haven't watched us a ton before. And if you're not subscribed, you need to. You cannot go on social media right now and not see an entire fan base upset with penalties. And I understand when you lose a football game, whether it be by 14 points, 45 points, or 4 points, if the Zebras do something that you don't think you like, you're going to blame it on the Zebras, and that's what it's going to be. The refs. Just get them out of here. They suck. And I understand that. But let's address a couple of things because I genuinely worry sometimes about like whether or not people, I'm not going to question your football knowledge, but here we go. Let's do it. Number one, if you, and this goes for any fan base, not specifically Tennessee. I even do this with Georgia fans, okay? Because you're going to call me a homer here. You're going to be like, oh, Georgia guy defending the refs. I'm getting out in front of it. I even let Georgia fans know, if you out here bitching about holding calls and the frequency of whether or not they're called and the imbalance of whether or not they're called, newsflash. Complaining about holding, if you're doing that, find a new sport. Find a new sport because there's holding on every single play. It's one of the most famous cliches about the game of football. There's holding on every play. There's holding on every play. So if you're complaining about holding and you think that's why you lost a football game, find a new sport because you're going to be miserable watching this one. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're going to be fucking miserable watching football. Number two, Tennessee had 9 penalties in this football game, 2 of which were false starts, if my memory serves me correct. Georgia had 7. It's not like this was a 12-2 affair. It's not like they got to shoot 45 free throws and you got 6. Those are relatively evenly called football games in terms of quantity of penalties. That's the second thing. Number 3, seen a lot of clips of Carson Beck moving before a snap. Newsflash, okay, one offensive player is allowed to move backwards as long as it's one and everybody else is set. It's not a penalty. Same thing happened with Arian Smith later on in the football game. He moves early on motion. It stops himself, moves again. Guess what? Legal. Not a false start. So, again, we're on social media complaining about something that it's not even a penalty. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, break out your checkbook, Josh Heupel, because I think it's $100K. I think it's $100K for faking an injury. Faked an injury. And this was in a middle of a portion of the football game where Georgia's offense is really, really moving the football. So that they drop a fake injury. And then the next play is the 12th man. All right, the 12th man is on the field. Now, if you do not know, when the offense changes personnel, the white hat comes in, or the line judge or whoever it is, he stands on the ball, okay, and allows the defense an opportunity to sub. If a defensive player runs off the field, he has 3 seconds to run off the field, okay? And what you have seen defenses start to do is once the offense subs in a no-huddle situation, the new sub from the defense will just trot his happy ass onto the field. Everybody does it. First, I saw Georgia do it 3 or 4 years ago. Okay, everyone is doing this new little defensive caveat to try to force a delay of game from the offense or force them to call a timeout because they think they're about to get a delay of game. So here's how it works. Offense changes personnel. Defense start to slowly trot their new personnel onto the field. The guy that they're subbing out for starts to jog back off the field. But here's the problem. As soon as the line judge moves, it's a live ball. We can snap it. All right, so the line judge moves. The guy that's trotting off the field is 51. He is slowly jogging. There is clearly a Tennessee coach on the sideline that notices, shit, the line judge just moved. And he's like this. You can see 51 clearly pick up his pace and start to sprint off the field because he knows he's about to get a 12th man. 12 men on the field is a reviewable call. You got caught in a gamesmanship act. That's all it was. So don't understand the complaints about the 12th man one either. Okay? Number 6, if you think the Oscar Delp fumble was a fumble, okay. They punted on that drive. It's not like it cost you 14 points. It's like you're doing all penalties did not cost that football game. Okay? Even I agree with you. I don't think the Nitro Tuggle face mask was a face mask. It felt like a huge momentum swing in that football game. It did. It was a 2nd and 26. That was about to be a 3rd and 8. That was an automatic first down. But here's the deal. That happened on the backside of the 50, so they still had to go drive the rest of the field, okay? Also, it's not like it converted a touchdown for Georgia. It would have been a 3rd and 8. It would have been a 3rd and 8. And you know what? Georgia was 8 for 14 on 3rd down. So mathematically, in that football game, they're converting the 3rd and 8. I hate to piss you off, but all these little excuses as to, the refs screwed us. No, here's what screwed you. Georgia had 6 explosive plays in this football game. You had 1. Ball game. In a defensive battle, like we all knew it was going to be, they had 453 yards of total offense. Ball game. Environment was insane. Absolutely insane, as you'd expect. Place was bananas. Kirby, I'm going to take a play out of your playbook, coach. I got a tremendous amount of respect for Kirby Smart. But you are smoking something if you don't think night games are different. If you don't think night games are different in this conference, knowing your history in this conference, you're smoking or you're not being honest, okay? Because we were all there, you and I both, my man. And every single time the lights go out, crowd pop. Every single time the fireworks go off, crowd pop. Every single down moment that is normally there during a day game, crowd pop. Guess what? No adrenaline dump, no downtime, nobody scrolling through their damn phone, nobody going to get concessions, no, none of that. Insanity. On top of the fact that them mofos been absolutely slap hammered since noon. Since noon. They're belligerent by the time they get there. Absolutely belligerent. It's totally different. Smoking something out here telling people, oh, noon game. We had a great game against Arkansas on noon. We had a great game against so-and-so at 3:30. Oh, yeah, great. Bro, nuts. Absolutely bananas. So, yeah, I laugh at that one, thinking about that one. That's that for that football game. What was that, 40 minutes? 40 minutes on that football game alone. Man, we are behind. We might be here for a while. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review. Here's my thing about the referee thing. Complaining about referees is like saying that you want to save the whales. Like, yeah, no shit. We all want the whales to live. Saying, oh man, refs suck. We got to get this fixed. No shit. Pay the teachers. Oh man, refs suck. Yeah, no duh. I wish we could have world peace. Like, it's the easiest stance in the world. No one's ever going to disagree with you. Refs suck. Yeah, refs suck. They do. All they do is mess up. If they have 75 plays on offense and then 75 plays on the other side of football, 170 snaps in a football game, they mess up 6 calls, get 165 of them right, 164 of them right. Refs suck. They cost us the football game. Save the whales, pay the teachers. Get the trash out of the ocean. I mean, good Lord. It's the easiest take in the world. We already addressed some things. Florida. Woo. LSU. Not the one. Look, man, I said it this week going into this football game. If you struggle on the lines of scrimmage with getting pushed around on both sides of the ball, like your tackles are great, LSU, they are. They're going to be in the NFL. They're great. Will Campbell, Emory Jones, awesome football players. But you get swallowed guard to guard. Defensive line-wise, number 4, great edge rusher. Our man, number 40, Whit Weeks, awesome, great football player, make a great open field tackle. But y'all got nothing from guard to guard on the defensive side of the football either. And you know who's the wrong one to do that against? Florida. Florida's the wrong one. You might say what you want about Florida, but you can't say they're not big and physical at the lines of scrimmage. I honestly, pound for pound, biggest line of scrimmage football team in the conference. I think so. Like, I think Alabama's offensive line is probably the thickest, tackle to tackle, double C's thick. I'm talking about big old boys over there. But when you combine both lines of scrimmage, Florida's as big as they come. I mean, they average 410 pounds at the nose tackle position. I shit you not. That's partly because one of them weighs about 510 pounds. But you get the point. Okay, they're big. They're really, really big. So when you struggle at the lines of scrimmage with physicality and toughness and being able to reset the line of scrimmage or just plain win the line of scrimmage, you're gonna be in for a 4-quarter fist fight against Florida. And do you want to see what domination at the lines of scrimmage look like right here? Florida averaged 6.6 yards per carry, 0 sacks allowed. That's them handling you, okay? Their offensive line handling your defensive line. LSU averaged 3.0 yards per carry, about season average for them because they've been getting handled. And they gave up 7 sacks. That is a line of scrimmage ass whipping right there is what that is. That is a line of scrimmage ass whipping. Had it not been for LSU like squatting on the football, I have 40 minutes of time of possession in this football game. I think this one gets way worse. I turned on the post-game press conference because Kelly's a good one to watch. Honestly, he's just a little bit entertaining after a loss. Not as good as Dabo, but it's a good second-place loss guy to watch on the press conferences. Not as good as Shane Beamer either, especially like a close loss, but he ain't had one of those in a couple minutes. But anyways, always a good one to tune into after a loss, and I go to watch this, and my man's out here complaining about red zone offense. We suck in the red zone was the premise of this post-game press conference, and we settling for too many field goals. We're not executing. Execution. I am of the firm belief that your red zone offense is 50% execution, 50% play design. Because you know what? It gets really hard down there. They got an extra defender. It's called the back line of the end zone. They got a whole extra defender back there. He's just looming. And he don't move. He's standing back there, okay? It's 12 men on the field, basically the entire possession, okay? So you can't take the top off the defense. Everything's sequestered up in front of you, All right, it gets really, really hard. So you've got to be a really good play caller and a really good play designer in the red zone. You've got to be able to set things up. You've got to be able to identify weaknesses. You've got to be able to get your guys in winnable positions when they're at a disadvantage. And you ain't doing that right now. So you can go on to, and it's been week after week after week. They've struggled in the red zone. He said it's our Achilles heel. We can't stop explosives on the defensive side of the football, and we can't finish in the red zone. That's on you. And here, I'll give him credit. I've been giving credit to Brian Kelly after watching these press conferences every week, because when he identifies the issue, he at least is taking responsibility, and not only that, taking action. So we know they have an interior defensive line problem. They got nobody in there. They keep getting blown off the ball. They're signing 5 defensive tackles in the 2025 class, including a 5-star. They're actively working to improve the roster where they have problems, right? They suck in the red zone right now. That's part execution, I just told you, and it's part play calling and part play design. Guess who's starting to get more actively involved in play calling and play design? Brian Kelly. So there you go. Like, at least he's actively moving to improve upon the problems, not just looking around going, we just got to get better. We just got to get better. We just got to get better, right? Like, everyone's doing that one. But at least he's, trying to improve upon the issue. But the issue is clear to me. They have a red zone problem, but really they got a line of scrimmage problem. They got a line of scrimmage problem, particularly from guard to guard on both sides of the ball. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribing for you folks that are new here today. Florida is not bad. Now, I'm almost on the side that they're good, like especially with Lagway nowadays. They're a physical and young football team, and my question isn't about this year for them. My question is about next year with this same schedule in the inverse, right? Maybe some non-conference differences, but nonetheless, the conference schedule is going to be the same. My question for this football team is, and for Billy Napier especially, is can you get to like an 8-4 next year? Can your quarterback stay healthy, and can you get to like an 8-4 next year where it's optimism, right? It's not, hey, I'm not asking you to go make a playoff. I'm asking you to beat 3 or 4 of these SEC teams that you've lost to this year. That's all I'm asking. And I think it's doable. And if it's doable, you have to keep him for 2026 because that's the last year that Lagway's there. All right. He's a 3-and-done guy. I don't need to have the breaking news here. I don't mean to declare for the NFL for Lagway, but I don't think he's lasted past 3 years in college based off what I've seen. So if you can get to 8-4 next year, we know they ain't going to fire you for his last year at Florida because we also know that if Billy's gone, more than likely Lagway's gone too. So if you're Florida, and I hate to tell you this, Florida fans, but if you're Florida, buddy, you gotta go, like you gotta hang on to my man. And that's I know you don't like that, but that is what it is. All right, I know sometimes I forget my super chubs, so let's go back and get to them. JB says, just wanted to say I've been a long-time lurker of the channel and appreciate what you guys do. It should be a requirement that you watch film before you speak on teams. So many garbage channels out here. Keep it up, lad. Yeah, it's actually like not the reasoning behind this channel, but one of my favorite things about this channel. I've listened to football coaches my entire life, and I've listened to them the last decade really closely after football games. And whenever they're asked about a question about the performance of a particular player or unit or, whatever, what's the first thing to a man any football coach will tell you when asked that question? Hey, coach, what'd you think about Nico's performance tonight? Well, I'm going to have to go back and check the tape. Well, I got to watch the film. Well, I got to check the tape. I got to watch the film. The smartest football people in the world will sit there and tell you, I got to go watch the film before I give you my opinion as the head football coach that makes damn near $10 million doing this shit. I got to go watch the film, having watched the entire game from the best seat in the house on the sideline. I got to go watch the film. And then I'd watch all these media folks go on their little, articles, and they be drilling the hot takes. Oh, Carson sucks. Offensive line, terrible. This, that, and the other. Having no real sense or care in the world to actually go watch it and go confirm what their thoughts were. I think one of the number one things you'll hear me say is, I haven't watched the tape yet, but, right? You ask me about something, I haven't watched the tape yet, but. That's what you should start with. I've always been like, how, not how dare you, but how dare you? How dare you go out here, form an opinion, and be strong on it? Like, be hot on it. Be like real firm. Take somebody's soul with the take and not even watch the tape. Weird. So yeah, I hope this network just takes off like a rocket, because you're right. And fans too, man. Fans will be out here getting so pissed off, so mad, blaming everything under the sun except the right thing, right? So that's what I think our channel's great about. If your football team loses on Saturday, don't avoid this channel. Run to this channel. Sprint to this channel. Because I promise you, I'll put it on the board and I'll show you what you should be pissed off about. I'll show you what you should be angry about, right? Oh, we got to do this better. No, actually, you're pretty good here. You're bad here, and this is why. And there's no biases to this. It's right there on the film. It's impossible to ignore. I just show it to you, and I explain it to you. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm absolutely with you. I appreciate that. JB says, sending a hot 50 just because this is the most non-toxic community. Love you, boys. I love that right there from JB. I would assume he's a relatively new subscriber on this channel. That's another thing I love about this place. As soon as people find it, wildfire. It's like a good drug, that you like, that ain't got no side effects, like those scenes in Dewey Cox. It doesn't give you a hangover, Dewey. Sounds expensive. It's the cheapest drug there is. I don't want no parts of that shit. You want all the parts of this one. Where are we at? Totally off the notes. I know where we're at. I would not want to play South Carolina right now. Not at all. Not at all. Like, bro, this offense is like, it's like the nuclear warhead that the presidents get. It's just one little touch from going, just, and then spending decades of silence. It's like we're in a moratorium on nuclear warheads today, gentlemen. Be quiet for 3 quarters. All right, let them rip. That's how this team plays. 3 and out, 75-yard touchdown. Terrifying. And it's all a byproduct of their quarterback, Lenore Sellers, and their run game and their offensive line. It's like a lot of inconsistencies, but when they're great, my God, are they great? Their box score is hysterical. Wide receivers with like 2 catches, 56 yards, 1 catch for 5 yards, 1 catch for 45 yards. It's like 5 of those guys. This is how their offense plays, and I would be terrified because you never know when it's going to happen. 9 times out of 10, it's off script too. It's just Sellers being a freak, and he's only going to get better. Only going to get better. This guy's like 9 games into his career. He threw for 351, 5 tuds, and an interception yesterday. And defensively, I know they didn't have a par for the course performance late in that football game for them, but, they only allowed 15 points midway through the 4th quarter, and then it's just like, got hit with a couple of explosives and a couple of short fields, and then it's like, oh, crap, we're in trouble? Yeah, but their defense makes D play when they need to, and they're a kind of unit that just knows they got killers. They play like they know they're going to make a play when they need to make a play. It's almost like watching Miami offense, right? Miami offense is like, fuck it, we'll figure it out eventually. That's exactly how South Carolina's defense plays. Like, fuck it, we'll figure it out eventually. We'll be great at some point in this football game because we're great. That's how they feel when I watch them. I do not want to play them at all. By the way, Dow Loggins. We talked about stones on Mike Bobo earlier today. The huevos on my man Dow Loggins. A shovel pass on 2nd and 4 with 29 seconds left. I think they had 1 timeout, down 3. Touchdown. Rocket Sanders, tud. I mean, just a delightful play call. Like I said, Lenore Sellers is only going to get better. I think there's no doubt right now South Carolina is one of the top 15 teams in college football. And one bullshit late hit on Garrett Nussmeier. Like, we talked about them Tennessee penalties y'all were complaining about earlier. If there's one fan base in this world that's got some bitching and moaning publicly and rightfully so to be doing, it's South Carolina. They had a little, like, I breathed on Nussmeier, and they took a pick 6 up off the board. that completely changed the game. Y'all out here bitching about a face mask that would have taken away a 3rd and 8 and gave them a first down when you weren't even getting them off the field at 50% rate on 3rd down. It's complete different levels of righteousness right here. South Carolina's got real ones. Y'all don't. You know what I mean? Like, woo. Anyways, don't want to play South Carolina this year. And I damn sure don't know if I'd want to play them next year. I think they have a real good chance of being a top 12 football team next year. But Shane, you've done this before. Okay, you had a great first year with Spencer Rattler, and then the wheels fell off year 2. Please, 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 because Lenoris is really fun to watch. Please, 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 do not have this fall off year 2 with Lenoris Sellers. Man, we're 53 minutes in, and I love doing these Sunday shows. Let's hit these quick notes right quick to round out the show. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. These ain't going to be relatively quick either. I know these are relatively lengthy. Oregon was due an ugly win, right? Very, very due an ugly win. They pull an escape. They pull out an escape against Wisconsin up there in what is that? Madison? Up there, I don't even know the name of that field. It's drawing a blank right now. But anyways, pull out an upset or an escape right there out of that. That's going to piss me off out of up there in Wisconsin. But anyways, it's a championship caliber escape, and every football team should be afforded at least 1 or 2 of these. They had 2 or 3. Are we going to count Idaho start the season? We're going to call that a slow start with some weird turnovers. I don't know. Y'all count it or not. The Boise State close exit. Ohio State's close game. We're not going to call that one. That's a good football team. But this one, right? You escaped this one when you shouldn't. You're a 11-point favorite on the road. You should handle this football game. I made you a lock. You should have handled it. You didn't. But there was a championship moment in this football game. They do the jump around up there in Wisconsin. And it's, like one of the most famous and people call it the most intimidating, fourth quarter startup things that there is. And you're on the road. You're down a touchdown, I believe, at the time. Okay. And they're out here jumping around going crazy. And you know what Oregon's sideline did, guys? Oregon's sideline joined in. Oregon's sideline joined in. By the way, going into the start of the fourth quarter where they're facing a 4th and 9 offensively. And their whole sideline's going crazy, down, on the road. Number 1 team in the country, 11-point favorite, getting whipped. And the sideline's going nuts. You know why? Because I guarantee you all week long, I guarantee you Dan Lanning was talking about that moment. There's going to be a moment in the fourth quarter when they do this. And you know what we're going to do, boys? No matter the situation in that football game, we're going to embrace. We're going to embrace that situation. And we're going to start jumping around. And you know what they did? Come out 4th and 9. Of course, Dan goes for it. 4th and 9. Converts it. Next play, touchdown. 10-0. They win the football game in the fourth quarter. Just a dude. An absolute dude of a football coach. Every single week he does something. I'm like, you're a guy. You're an absolute guy. But anyways, it's one thing, like I said, as a championship contender to have 1 or 2 of these and to survive them, particularly if you're playing like a Power 4 schedule, like a really big-time Big Ten, SEC slate. I expect some of these conference games to get a little hairy, particularly on the road. I mean, you're playing in front of, that's 85,000, I would imagine, up there in Madison, Wisconsin, in front of all those people. So, I expect you to struggle every once in a while. But when you're BYU in the Big 12 and you're doing this every single week, it's eventually going to be your time. Eventually, you ain't going to pull no more rabbits about the hat. All right? You're just not. And that's exactly what happened this past week or last night against Kansas. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If I were a BYU fan, you're not watching this because I don't think you're allowed to watch television. But if you're watching right now, I would be fucking livid. I would be absolutely fit to be tied about how that football game ended offensively. And if you didn't watch it, I'm going to tell you right now. Okay? They're driving time under 2 minutes. They're down 4. Okay, so they need a touchdown to win the football game. Can't tie it. Got to go win. It's 3rd and 8. Ball at the 12. So they got an opportunity to convert a first down, but it's under 2 minutes anyways. We're trying to score. Okay, so 3rd and 8. You know what the play call is on 3rd and 8? The Retzlaff, the quarterback there, can Checks to a speed option into the boundary. Don't love that. Speed option into the boundary on 3rd and 8. They get absolutely mollywopped behind the line of scrimmage. 4th and 9. 4th and 9. You know what they do? They throw the ball short of the sticks. Short of the sticks, get tackled, turnover on downs. Game over. I would have been throwing shit at my TV that didn't exist out there in Mormon land. I would have been losing my mind. Woo. Texas offense needs to be figured out, and I think we might do that this week. That's a go figure out why for me. I think it's pretty simple. At least, like, when I do these things, when I go searching on film for what I think is going on, I think about it first. Like, why is Texas struggling to throw the ball down the field? Well, in my mind, it's because they're struggling to run the football effectively, or at least explosively. Right? If you're not throwing it or you're not running it really, really well, and you're a play action based offense, you're not going to throw it really well. That's just the way it works, right? If I don't have to respect your run, I can cover your pass. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to have to go look at the film to see if that actually is confirmed. You know what I mean? So we're going to look at that this week. Colorado is finishing football games. Finishing football games in various ways, too. Last week it was defensively. This week it was offensively. I looked up. I think they're up by 10. Utah's got the ball. They force get the ball back. 2 quick scores. Win by, I think, 21 points. Just bang, bang. Just finishing football teams. I think they're a serious playoff contender because I think they're the best and most confident football team right now in the Big 12. So there is that. What an absolute weekend for the homie, by the way. I mean, my God, I felt like I was having a Will Levis-esque run. Every time I looked up, it's like a new meme photo of your homie out there on social media. We had a great time on Fine Ball this week. Had a great time yesterday covering that football game. Had 4-quarter goosies. Had the goosies mid-4 quarters. Night game was up till 3 o'clock in the morning last night working. It's just a great weekend for the homie, man. I cannot complain at all. And I love you guys. I hope you subscribe. I got a birthday coming up in 2 days, and I've decided what I want for my birthday. Okay? I turned 30 in 2 days, 36 hours, and I want 40,000 subscribers. That's what I want. I think we're just about under 37,000 right now. Let me check. I think we're like 36.2 maybe, 36.4. All right, so we're at 36,436, okay? I want to get that thing up to 40,000 subscribers before the end of the week, okay? Let's see here. Rudy said, nothing is more dangerous than a dog backed in a corner. Film don't lie. Cook Brooks cook. You ain't lying, brother. I'll see you in about 45 minutes there, Ruderton. Let's see here. No more Super Chubs. I think I got them all. Did I miss JB's? Let me see here. Let's put it into the fan funding section. Here we go. Can we talk more about the narrative of fan bases in the, I think that's the lower, in other conferences that the SEC is trash because of how many 2-loss teams there are. It's insane. Strength of schedule is severely undervalued in this model. Yeah, man, like, you know, hey, let me ask you something. I'm going to line 10 dudes up here. You're going to have to fight them all. All right, here's 10 dudes. My 10 guys, all 6'4", 250 plus. 3 or 4 of them going to be on steroids. Your 10 guys, we're going to have 2 of them juiced to the gills. The other 8, 5'10", $195. None of them studied judo. Which round of dudes you fighting? I'm going to fight the second round of dudes. It's about as simply as I could explain the strength of schedule bullshit that's going on right about now. I mean, I heard some dum-dums out here on social media. I saw some dum-dums being like, oh, I'm begging the SEC. I'm begging the SEC to stop playing an FCS Southeast team in the middle of November and start manning up and playing 9 conference schedule games. Why? So their strength of schedule could be even harder than what yours is? They have Big Ten fans out here bitching about SEC teams only playing 9 games or 8 games against conference teams. Meanwhile, 9 of the 11 hardest schedules in the world are in the SEC. The rest of the teams in the top 30. And then there's Texas. We'll talk about them if y'all want. But y'all want them to schedule another one? Y'all want it to get harder for this conference? This is the stupidest argument I've ever heard. Dumb. I love you. We'll see y'all next time. Cut.